All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of In the Bag, a grab bag behind the scenes podcast. I'm your host, Vallon Voyles, and I'm joined today with...
Hi, I'm Morgan Stevens, also sometimes listed in credits as Morgan Park, because that's been my internet name for a while. I have been on Grab Bag all 3 seasons of it. This is my 3rd season. I wasn't here before Grab Bag, but I started on season 1.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into some of Morgan's bits that they've written and been in.
Yeah.
So we'll go watch one. I'll see what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back.
I really do love the fresh air. I really do. You know this about me.
All right. So we just watched Students Against Smoking.
Yeah.
So what do you want to say about that?
I think this might be... It is definitely like a top 3 sketch that I've written, like writing-wise. Like, even like, it's been a while since I watched it, and still going back to it now, I'm like, wow, that's good. Sometimes we have like rose-colored glasses, like when writing something, like as soon as it comes out, it feels so fresh and new, and you're like, oh, this is like my favorite thing I've written ever.
Yeah.
And then you go back in 4 months and you're like, oh, I see like a lot of problems with this actually.
Yeah.
Which with this one I don't have, which is great because I didn't watch these ahead of time, so I was like, I hope this has aged well. Also, wow, talk about like, the script is great for sure, but talk about perfect casting.
Yeah.
Wyatt and Tyler in that are so funny. They added so much to that isn't in the script too. Like, not word-wise, but just like their gestures and like the way they're so like emotive throughout the whole thing is just fantastic. It's great. Yeah.
And I know there's bloopers for that one too.
Yeah, so another like hallmark of everything I've written, which we'll see throughout today, is that I write a lot of like wordy dialogue. It's always like it's always clunky in the mouth because I'm always trying to do some stupid wordplay or have something be just particular, which is like a very annoying thing to do as a writer. And I know that, but this day there were a lot of outtakes where lines were being flubbed, which always leads to a case of the giggles. And then even at some points, when we like had like 10 minutes of like we can't get this line right, we started like getting it right, and then like they couldn't not break.
Yeah.
It was specifically one of the ones was speaking of stroking, and he once again something he added was like the hand gesture, the stroke gesture, which made Tyler break I think at least 2 different takes that would have otherwise been usable, and then the one that made both of them break. Wyatt kept making himself break during this line was that pain in your ass. Because I don't even think that line really was meant to be like that funny.
Yeah.
Like that was more so just meant to be like a way to get to the next line. But the way like the cadence that Wyatt delivered it made it like so much more than it was. that pain in your ass is so silly. Also another one, I don't remember which line it was on, but there's a point where Tyler like boops Wyatt's nose, and that was the only take we had that had him do that. And there's a moment, I kept it in there because it's so funny. There's a moment where you can see Wyatt like process that just happened. Like Tyler does that, and then Wyatt goes, he just makes like this like very confused face, but then he like gets into the line, but there is this like little weird beat where like it's clear that wasn't supposed to happen, but it was so funny. I had to leave it in.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
How is it filming outside? And
God. Yeah, filming outside, I think of it kind of like a blessing and a curse sometimes because it's really easy for things to look pretty outside, especially like that time of the year. It was like a beautiful fall day. Like the weather was really nice. The trees looked amazing. And you always tend to have like really good lighting if it's during the daytime. There were some issues just because we were in such a tree heavy area that like sometimes the shadows were like hitting like really harsh on Tyler's face or on Wyatt's face. But really the biggest problem that day filming outside was this like impending clock of doom because it was fall, so like the days were getting really short. At that point I think the sun was like setting at like probably like 6 o'clock at that point. And we started filming like pretty late into the day. And we were like we filmed all of Tyler and Wyatt's parts first, and then we filmed my like little insert second, and you can very clearly see that like my parts are like a good bit darker than their parts because it was about to sunset at that point. Yeah. So that was a bit anxiety inducing. And that's also another reason why the shots are like very simple. It's literally just back and forth, like a 2-cam setup. I
think it works for that ad. I remember when I first watched it, I wasn't I wasn't in the studio with everybody, but I was walking to Franklin, and I clicked on the video and it just said students can't smoking. I was like, oh, it's an ad.
Yeah.
And then it definitely wasn't an ad.
Definitely not an ad. Yeah, that was a big reason I wanted to make this because I'm not a DMP major. I'm not a media production guy. I am an advertising major. So I wanted to make something along the lines of like I could make, like in a career sense.
Yeah.
And it originally just started, I think, during class one day we were talking about PSAs and like kind of like the nitty gritty of like a PSA and how it's like different from an advertisement. And we were talking about the Dumb Ways to Die campaign. Do you know that one?
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's like the Dumb Ways to Die. That's actually a PSA like campaign in, I want to say either New Zealand or Australia.
Oh.
They were having an abundance of, this is a little morbid, people accidentally like falling on train tracks and dying.
Oh.
So they set out to make a PSA to help combat that and get people to act safer around like trains and railways. And they were like, this is a dumb way to die. And they kind of like went in this like very comedic route. And I'm like, that's really funny. And I do love that campaign. So I was like, what if I did a PSA of smoking and kind of like brought these like characters who are like awful people into this, like just like full on like shame core, which my initial line where I say, hey, shaming people is like a historically bad way to change behavior was also something I was thinking about because I'm like, a lot of these shame ads, like we know they don't work. So like, what if we do that in just up to 100, just like maximum shame to the point where you can't even sympathize with the guys who are like the good guys. So a quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to find another bit and we'll be right back.
Woohoo.
It's on the forefront of Stanley Cup technology, Darian.
All right. We're back and we just watched the Stanley Cup agenda.
We did. Yeah. What'd you think?
That was so good.
Yeah.
Like that was your first.
Yeah, that was my first
bit.
sketch. Yeah. Yeah, I started on a digital, which is crazy. Digitals are kind of hard to. I feel like most people would probably want to start with a live, maybe, but I don't know. I was just. I guess I was feeling the Stanley Cup at the time. It's funny because I didn't intend to do this, but we watched like a PSA, and then we basically watched one kind of centered around an ad almost, which was not intentional. Yeah, and this sketch is really interesting because it is my only sketch, and I've intentionally never done this again, where it's like very much based around something that's happening right then.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that. I tend to try to make jokes that will last a very long time, even if like trends are changing or like products are changing or like what people think is like in changes. Like Students Against Smoking is a sketch. It's like a bit that could theoretically be funny at like any point in time as long as you understand the concept of a PSA.
Yeah.
But the Stanley Cup thing, it's so dated because like it's not even like the like forefront of cups anymore. Like it's like a Walla, I think, is like the one people are really liking right now. Once again, Wyatt, big bag, so great in that sketch. Yeah, really good. Nicholas DeAngelis, who played the initial Stanley Cup fanatic, who you don't know, that was he was only in here for one semester because he graduated at the end of season 1. But he was so good. He still does a lot of acting, so it was really cool to have someone who has a lot of like theatrical chops on Grab Bag for that season. He was so good in that. He was in a lot of sketches. He was definitely like, I want to be in as many as possible because I only have one season of the show. So let's do that. There's some fun writing in there. It's definitely like some of the shots are bad. Some of the shots are really bad, like the initial one where it's just Darian on the couch and then Nicholas walks in. There's so much empty space. I didn't even remember it looking like that, to be honest. Very clearly first sketch I ever shot. That was my first time like directing people. Like I'd made a lot of YouTube videos at that point.
Yeah.
A lot of comedy YouTube videos, but I was always like by myself for the most part. That was my first time like writing something and just being behind the camera the whole time, telling people what to do, and that was definitely unique for the first time. It's something I'm comfortable with at this point, but the first time I was like so nervous. And Nick was there too for I think the latter half of the shoot he was there for, who, he was at that time the showrunner. So like I didn't know him that well at the time either. So I was just so nervous filming that entire sketch. But no, it held up pretty well despite the concept being a little bit dated. Yeah.
I really like the shot of Wyatt like teleporting.
Yes, I loved establishing him as this godlike creature.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really. I still think that's probably like the part that holds up the best is that he talks through the TV to them, and they don't even really acknowledge it, which
Yeah.
I think is hilarious. And they also don't really acknowledge the teleport. They do say like, "Hey, how did you get here?" But that's kind of the only time they acknowledge he is a god.
Yeah.
Because he's like, or Darian, I believe, is the one who says, "You don't need this," and then Wyatt in the TV still goes, "Yes, you do need this," and Darian just turns off the TV. That's all that he does. And I think if I'm not mistaken, that's the second time he turns off the TV. I was like trying to imply that Wyatt turned the TV back on somehow. Yeah, funny stuff in there.
Yeah. I like that. It's like I think it's a solid first bit.
Yeah, definitely a pretty good start, I would say.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna find another one, and we'll be back.
You're not playing Go Fish, you're playing poker.
All right, we just watched James Bond sucks at poker.
Ah, boy, does he. He was not good. He went all on a high card. Yeah, not great. Wow, talk about a live segment that, and I'm not even self-glazing here because I had nothing to do with this. Just shot so well for a live segment.
Yeah.
I am trying to remember who worked lighting on that. I believe it was either Brandon or Tyler, or maybe a mix of a couple people probably. But wow, it's so well lit for a live segment. Like it's so nice looking. It's shot so well. We had the wide shot cam on Wyatt, cam on Vinny, and then we also had I think we used spy cam to get a look at the poker table, which was only used like once or twice, but really, really good shot. Yeah. Yeah, I was watching James Bond and I was like, this guy sucks at poker. I don't know if for anyone who hasn't seen the newer James Bond movies, the first one is called Casino Royale. And he has to, I mean, essentially what the sketch is, he has to play poker, high stakes with his arch villain who's like planning to take over the world or whatever. And like the stakes are like so intense. And in the actual movie, part of the plot line is that James Bond is not good at poker. Like, it's literally like part of the obstacle of the second act is that he's not good. He's bad at this. And at one point he does get poisoned. And this he's just like kind of a buffoon in as far as poker goes. And he's just kind of like trying to like buy time until he can like stop him in the background or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's always so funny to me how like some of these like characters that like in theory should be kind of pivotal, like the dealer at the table, kind of just like fall into the background and like don't really exist in the scene because it's just like you have the good guy and the bad guy and they're like having these intense conversations. But there's other people in the room and like they would absolutely be saying something, which is definitely like, it's the joke of this whole segment is that the dealer is kind of just talking at them.
Yeah.
And they're like not really like paying attention at all. Also just as it goes on, you kind of realize that this isn't like a fancy, like clandestine casino. Like this is like the Jack, basically. Like these guys aren't him. Like they are not. Vinny's a really funny supervillain. Yeah. I mean, we saw this last episode. He does a great funny voice. Yeah. I didn't know he was going to do a funny voice before the night started. I didn't have a funny voice in mind. But then, like, once we started doing run-throughs and he did the funny voice, I immediately broke and was like, you just do that. Yeah. That's great. I love that when someone comes to set with, like, something, like, they have in mind. And it's just, like, I didn't have that in mind, but, like, I'm glad you did. That's way funnier than what I wanted you to do. Yeah. I think that's pretty solid. I think that's, like, the first one we've watched so far where I had, like, a big role in it. I was kind of the funny guy. I don't know. There was a lot going on in that sketch, especially at the end. That was another one I didn't know how to end. And the Brody came in as like the tourist guy. That was a recommendation of Tyler, I believe, because I wasn't sure how to end it. Okay. Because I was like, who wins this poker game? Yeah. And then I think Tyler just suggested, what if just like someone else just walks in from off screen and is the winner? Yeah.
I like also how like when Wyatt dies, like, and he just like, no, the dealer's not like, what?
No.
Nobody ever's like, okay.
No one reacts. I was really trying to get across that, like, I want to get out of here as, like, the guy working. Like, I'm hourly and, like, we're closing in 15 minutes. We've all been there. We've all been about to close in 15 minutes. And it's just, like, I wish these customers would leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, sometimes, like, one of the, we have limitations doing live segments. Sometimes one of the big ones in that sketch was, like, the microphone. Because I really, on the lines where they're like really ignoring me and I'm like trying to get a word in edgewise, originally, like how I was delivering those in like run throughs and like when we were first reading through the script at writers meetings was like I was screaming those lines a lot more.
Yeah.
Especially the one where it's like, please play the game. I delivered it in the live segment. I was kind of like, can we please play the game? But when we were like running through that in like the office, I was like screaming and hitting the table. Like I was like really frustrated with them. So that didn't fully get translated in the live segment, but still, that's definitely one I look back on fondly for so many reasons. The set decoration was also like really solid for that too.
I also like the fact that the visor that you had on, like with the green, that was that helped with the light too. Yeah,
it looked good. Yeah, I was wearing. I ordered I think I got the red vest from a thrift store, so it was like a little too small on me because it was from a thrift store and it's hard to find a red vest that fits you. The name tag was my girlfriend's name tag from the movie theater. So I did kind of have like if you get rid of the visor, I did have a bit of a movie usher vibe to me, just a little bit, which I think is also very silly. And Vinny and Wyatt both looked their roles really well, I thought. Wyatt looked like he could be an international man of mystery. I'm going to have to find one that doesn't include Wyatt for the next one. He's been in all three.
Bag.
No more big bag. No. I didn't mean to do this, Wyatt. He's going to hear this. I didn't mean to do this. Oh, well.
It's okay. All right, well, we're going to find another one and we'll be back.
Please make me white and nerdy like you and strike down my parents.
All right. We just listened to Average Parody Song Enjoyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a season 2 one. Season premiere, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
What a funny concept that is. I make parody songs. I used to. I don't really make music that much anymore, but I used to love making parody songs. I'm seeing Weird Al in concert this summer. So this definitely came from a place of familiarity for me. It was really fun to just kind of like rattle off parody song titles, which is something I've already just done in my free time. Yeah. One of them, what are the swearing rules on the podcast?
I have no clue, but Sophia swore, so I don't know if Wyatt bleeped it out. Wyatt, let us know.
Well, one of the ones that they mention in the sketch, and only one of them is real, is the one where she says, I heard you listening to a parody of Daft Punk's Robot Rock called Robot... Never mind, I don't even want to say it. The implication is Robot Cock, and that is a song that is real that I made. And it's a parody of Daft Punk's Robot Rock. So that was really fun, but then the other ones were like, Can You Pimp My Ride, Sir, is so stupid. Like, I don't even know what the rest of that song would be, but we were singing that a lot throughout the night, and Jillian's delivery on the, it's not Can You Pimp My Ride, it's just Pimp My Ride, and Eric goes, what? And she's like, it's not a question, it's more of a, forget it. That is like, so, it feels so out of like left field in like a really like fun way, because we've talked about this. I mean, I said this in a writers meeting the other day of saying like random equals funny. It is kind of like out of nowhere, but in a way that like blends well and segues us into like the next part of the sketch. And God, Jillian's delivery on it is so good. And Eric genuinely being confused, like being like he doesn't even know the show that this song is referencing. He just listens to parodies because he can't get enough. And then the reveal at the end. Because the whole time we're kind of thinking that, like, his mom's, like, the weird one. Like, she's making a weird line in the sand of, like, you can't listen to parody music. Yeah. And then we hit the end, and he has a literal shrine built to Weird Al Yankovic in the corner of his room. Fun fact, there's pictures printed out, like, actual, like, photo prints of, like, Weird Al on the little set there. And one of them being a Weird Al My Little Pony OC, I believe.
Yeah.
These are pictures that I did have to like print out at CVS, which means I'm guessing someone had to see them, which is really funny to imagine them like, oh, like we got a new order for prints and it's like, it's 5 pictures of Weird Al, one of them being My Little Pony themed. So that was funny. Holland, the cutaway gag of Holland, So good.
That was so good.
I love writing a good cutaway gag. We filmed the sketch right before this together, and there's a cutaway gag in that one, and it's fun. It's funny. I love shout out Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, it's pretty simple writing. Writing wise, it's a pretty simple sketch, and it is one of those ones where it's like, yeah, let's just do this one live. Like this is not going to be too difficult to do. I forgot that Jillian like kicked something on the floor. That was like really funny. Just like imagine like the parent kind of like storming out as like a toddler is like really silly. I don't think I told her to do that. I think if I had to guess, I can't remember. I feel like there might have just been like something in her way. Like genuinely there was something on the floor in her way. Because I think we like tried to make it look like a little bit of like a messy bedroom. We just like took stuff from the prop closet and kind of like threw it over the place. So she probably actually was just like kicking something out of her way. But it played pretty funny.
Yeah, that's good. And I like how that was if that was a season premiere, then that would have been my first episode too.
Yeah.
So it was fun to hear everybody in the back laughing too.
Yeah, you can hear in the recording of during Holland's cutaway sketch, because it's pretty quiet overall, you can hear the studio laughing, which is like, that's funny. I love when people in the studio are laughing during a live segment, particularly, or if people are like trying not to break. Those are some of the best. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to find another one, and we'll be back.
Woo-woo.
I gave you $50 for communion wafers. You have to.
All right, we just watched Pastor on the Street from season 1.
We sure did, yeah. Oh my gosh, what a fun... I mentioned this already once, but before coming to Grab Bag, I had already made like, I don't know, dozens of YouTube videos at that point. So it was really fun to explore that format as a sketch and take it to like, just like this pinnacle, like brain rot, man on the street level of editing where there's like a sound effect every 2 seconds and like the background music is like this generic like Kevin MacLeod YouTube audio library type stuff, and like there were like 3 different points in like a 4-minute video where like there's like the subscribe button pop up and like Shane, who's played by Josh, is just like doing like these most exaggerated gestures known to mankind. Yeah, I despise man on the street interviews, so that was also like a big part of like me making this sketch. I think it's just such like bottom of the barrel content, honestly. And the prank, I mean, that's what his name is, Shane pranks. The joke is always on this like unsuspecting person, and that's kind of like what I was really going for in this sketch. Even though Josh is almost like non-existent in this sketch as like a speaking role or as like a face. He is like the person we're making fun of, like, cause like, and like he just progressively gets like more and more awful of a guy as this video goes on. He does such a good job communicating that from behind the camera as like this offhanded audio where it's like, the first thing he says is like, when I'm running away from Nick, which by the way, crazy that he was showrunner and then also like saying that on camera. I'm running away from Nick and like I fake puke in the trash can, and Josh goes, that was a low ball. That was he says, that's a softball question. Come on. And like, he's just like constantly like prodding me from like behind the camera. And then like we find out that he gave me like a $50 donation for communion wafers. Like, clearly, like, I'm not like some mega church pastor like trying to get rich. Like, I'm like, oh, that's like a very nice donation so we can like get by. And like he's holding this over my head to like put me in these like truly just like god awful situations, like harassing people. Like he's making me harass people for $50 because I can't afford communion wafers. And then we get like the final big like climax of like the bubblegum pink, which I think everyone had an instant love-hate relationship with that line. Yeah. Everyone hated seeing me ask that question and loved seeing Brandon get asked that question. So that was good. Corey walking out of the like statue, so ridiculous. Like why was she in there? Yeah. What was going? I don't even know why. Oh, I think we were shooting that day and we were trying to keep it as close to Franklin as possible because it wasn't, once again, we were filming outside. It wasn't fantastic weather. I think it was raining for most of the day up until, and if I'm not mistaken, so we were worried we might even not be able to film. And we just needed something for her to do where it didn't look like she was just standing there waiting for me to come talk to her, we also had that same problem with Nick. We kind of made it look like he was like about to get on like one of the scooters that was there. Yeah. So that wasn't as bad, but when we got to Corey, we were like, we literally don't know what you should be doing when we walk up to you. So we just had her walk out of the statue, which I don't even know what that statue is. I don't know why it's there. I pass by it every day. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah. And was there any like sound issues for the rain and stuff? Or
it wasn't too bad. No, the handheld mic I used, which is my personal mic that I use.
Just bang the table.
It's a personal mic I use for YouTube videos. It's got like a pretty good windscreen on it. It honestly gets like pretty good audio. So thankfully, filming wise, it went pretty smooth throughout all the way through. I think that might be, honestly, still to this day, one of like the cleanest recording experiences I've had for a grab bag sketch. It was just so like, we go in, we actually filmed the end portion first of Shane doing like the YouTuber outro. We did that in the Franklin Hall office. So we filmed that first, went over our lines a little bit, walked outside, did Nick's portion, did Corey's portion, did Brandon's portion, and we were out. It was really that simple, very like linear filming. None of the lines were like too crazy either to like nail, which also helps like once again bringing it back to like the make it easier for like the actors. I guess the only one would be like the part where I'm like bleeping Nick out for like every other word.
Yeah.
But that was just ad-libbed. I was like, just kind of say whatever because I'm gonna bleep most of it out. I think Alligator Steve was like the only thing he like planned ahead of time because he thought it would be really funny. There was one point where like some of the things he was saying were swear words, but there was like one point near the end where he's like, if I removed the bleeps, he would just be going, yeah, and I'm just being really vulgar right now and saying swear words and just really grossing you out. He's literally just like spelling out what's happening in the scene, but we're just bleeping it out. So you're like, oh God, what is this guy saying? Yeah, and that was a fun experience having Nick do that to me. That's a fun experience. That and Students Against Smoking, like I wrote those roles, and like sometimes you'll write a role where, and I think I brought this up like in the past week, where it's like you would feel bad making someone else play that role. Yeah. So you kind of relinquish yourself to that role. Pastor on the Street was definitely one of them. And then Students Against Smoking was one of them because it's like just you're standing there getting berated for 3 minutes. Like that's not a fun role to play. I barely had any lines. So I was like, yeah, I'll be the smoker.
Yeah. That's a good sketch. I like how YouTube like it was.
Oh yeah, it's so fun to like. I mean, we went from a sketch about parodies to a sketch that basically is a parody itself of like the YouTube format, which is it's so funny. It's just like the constant like jump cuts and
or like Josh popping up out of nowhere.
So dumb.
That's really good.
So dumb. Josh looks so different in that sketch. His haircut's wild. Yeah. I don't know what Josh love you. I don't know what you had going on your head there. That was interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna find another one. We'll be back.
All right.
Oven. Unvin.
All right. We just watched We're Definitely Not Getting Our Money Back.
Yeah. Also, I affectionately refer to as Unvin, the Unvin sketch. Yeah, that sketch. I had this idea in my notepad for so long, but the idea that I had was just one line, and I feel like a lot of writers can relate to this of just like, I'll write this down and get back to it later. The one line I had was book, but all pages are randomized. And I had that in my notes for like, genuinely, I think like 2 months, and I'm like, I don't know like what the sketch is around this idea. I just think the idea of a book where all the pages are in the wrong spot and someone buying that was like really funny. And then eventually I'm like, what if we just got like 2 or 3 other like god awful products and like this idiot bought them. Love Josh. Josh is probably one of my best friends in the world. Real smart guy, real thoughtful, knowledgeable man. He plays such a good idiot. He is so good at being dumb.
Yeah.
And being dumb in an arrogant way too. Like he's like this guy, like I don't even think I named him in the sketch, but like Josh's character in this sketch is so incompetent to the point of like concern. Yeah. That he's buying these things and he's getting swindled so easily out of his socks. Yet throughout pretty much the entire sketch, he's on the attacking side of things. Like when we initially like move to the office and he like picks up the book, he like sits down on the couch, like really like open, like lounging, and kind of is just like, thank you. You should be apologizing to me. In the part where he's like, he said I looked like an avid reader and I needed a challenge. And I did. And it's just like, dude, you're so stupid. It's so frustrating to watch a character like that, but it makes it so fun to watch them too. And then I'm kind of playing like the straight man of the sketch of just trying to be like, why did you do this? A lot of audio issues on that sketch. The lavs were not laving that time, unfortunately. It came through a couple of times in the the first shot of like, I tried to cut it out as much as possible, but like there was one point where there's just like that loud, high hissing noise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you film inside the oven?
Yeah, the camera was actually inside the oven, and we just like poked at it. It was there was one point I cut it so you can't really tell, but after I closed the oven, I kind of start to walk away. But the direction that I'm walking away in is just the wall. So like the shot, and we didn't look at the footage. The shot, our usable shot was when I was walking away. It's very clear that like I take a step and stop. Like I don't, you see me in frame the entire time. I never actually leave frame. We just assumed that I did. So I had to like cut it like really quickly after we shut the oven. But that was cool. That was like one of like the few shots I had in mind going into this sketch was like, I want to put it like, in the oven.
Yeah.
That's definitely like one of my favorite sketches. I think I've done overall as far as like lighting and camera work goes. I think it does a good job of like feeling like dynamic throughout the sketch. It's very much like we go from room A to B, we sit down. It's good. It has a good flow to it. That is my actual house, and we filmed again. Me and Josh filmed again in my house for a later sketch recently, and I was like, we're doing a similar thing. I need to make sure like this looks as different as possible, which was definitely a bit of a challenge in the new sketch. But at the time of Unvin, this was like the first time I was filming in my house, so it was real fun to just kind of like explore the space and go all around.
Yeah. Well, there was one when you were filming in the Unvin.
Yeah.
It was sitting on the normal grate, right?
Yeah, I think either it was just like on the grate normal, or I think I might have put it under or on top of like a pizza circle, like a little like baking sheet, and then just put it on top of the rack, so it was like a little bit more steady. But it was still hard to get the camera steady. I think when Josh pokes it, there's like a noticeable like shake to the camera and starts like wiggling around, but. You know,
okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right. Well, we're gonna watch. I think one more.
One more. All right, gotta find a good one.
Yeah.
I would let my daughter date a horse.
All right, we just watched Horse Girl versus Horsephobe.
Oh my gosh, there's so much happening in that. I don't really remember writing that sketch super well, but apparently I had a lot going on in my mind when I was writing that one. First off, this was a live sketch, and there were a lot of like graphics to like put in throughout the entire sketch. So there were certain points where like timing wasn't like super there, especially like on the first question, the camera lingered on me for a long time, which was not intentional. I thought I'd point that out just because on the surface, the sketch almost looks like it could be a digital sketch, but this was a live sketch in the studio. We thought it would be fun to try to like attempt this once again, a YouTube style of video, but like live. And that was a really unique, fun challenge for all of us across the board. Really at the heart of this segment is the Jubilee style video, which is a channel on YouTube. And they do these, I mean, it's literally that style. They'll put two people together and just have them talk it out while the producer's off camera asking them questions. And it's usually something like very serious. Like it's not usually something like lighthearted like horses. But obviously I took it that way because I didn't want to have like a really heavy topic on a sketch like that. I am part of the LGBT community. I am bisexual. I'm non-binary, and a lot of these videos like online of like we once again I say horsephobe in the video because like there's videos online of like we sat down like transgender people and conservatives who hate transgender people, and we had them talk, and it's just like this just like. I'm gonna get so political here, whatever. It's like this mindless, like centrist content of like, there's good people on both sides of the aisle. Like, yeah, we have our differences. Yeah, you want to kill me, and I don't want you to kill me, but it's okay that we have our differences and we can just exist together. It's like no, they want to kill you. They want to kill you. So that idea is definitely there. And then there's also this like idea of like these producers like antagonizing and like puppeteering like behind the scenes and like paying these people off to say that. So there's a lot going on in this sketch, like writing wise, and it was also like partially inspired just because my partner and her friend, her friend is a horse girl, grew up horse girl, loved horses. I think owned a horse at one point, knows how to ride them. My girlfriend, terrified of horses, hates how they look, is scared of them, and they're best friends. So I was like, that's something. There's something there. Putting a horse girl and a horse phobe together in the same room, and then converting it into this format. So that was fun. Jillian gives a great performance in this one. Just like she went all out for this one. She really embodied that horse girl energy, and I don't think she is in real life. Actually, I think I just thought she probably was. I love Jillian. I just thought she had some horse girl vibes to her. Shout out to my horse girls, but I thought she had horse girl vibes. She doesn't. But I was like, you're still going to be good in this role, and she was. She killed it. Yeah. Coleman was a pretty good horse phobe too. Like I did get the sense that he hated horses. The Genghis Khan question.
That came out of nowhere.
It's so ridiculous. It's so dumb. The questions are just, they're so all over the place. I do love the drop of just, I would kill a horse for fun. Like not even like a true or false. Like it's not even phrased as a question. It's just, I would kill a horse for fun. So stupid. Yeah. And then the like assistant walking on screen and like handing them wads of money. Yeah. So I think I use Monopoly money in the sketch. You can't tell, but yeah.
Well, I like how the Genghis Khan question, like it felt like just like so, like that TikTok sound that's like, why aren't you in the army?
Oh yeah. Well, it's actually a really complicated question. Yeah, and then all the sponsors at the end of the video that like relate back to. See, that's what I'm saying. There's so much going on in this sketch, writing wise. It's bloated. I'm not going to say this is my best work, but it's a funny one. But it's bloated. And there's like this tertiary concept in the sketch of like these sponsors being like the biggest puppet masters behind the strings, behind the scenes. There we go, behind the scenes. Where they're really manufacturing these questions. Yeah. Like the Genghis Khan Foundation being whatever that is. I made that sponsoring the video, and like you kind of like see the pointed sense of the question being like, my least favorite thing about Genghis Khan was actually the horses, like implying that like the rest of what he did was like chill. Yeah. Just so ridiculous. Burger King sponsoring the video. The have it your way line reads so dumb. The people against horses at county fairs, so stupid.
It's also just the fact that like the Genghis Khan Foundation and Burger King sponsoring the same video.
Burger King sponsoring the video. Also, I think my thought process behind that was like just further implying that Burger King uses horse meat, which I don't even know if that's like a conspiracy like most like young people are familiar with. It was definitely like more of an early 2000s thing, where it was just going around that Burger King burgers were made of horse. I don't know why people thought that. I don't think there was ever like a thing to back this up. That was just something people would say. It's probably more of a comment on the quality of Burger King. But yeah, just implying that Burger King does use horse in their meat, and they are sponsoring this video to get people to like horses less. Yeah. So much happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there any final things that you would like to say?
Any final things? I got so many sketches. I'm always writing on Grab Bag. Yeah. So tune in. We got so many good sketches on there, mostly weekly. Yeah. Kind of weekly, somewhat weekly. I'm also the showrunner for Food Flash, which is a food-based show on Black Squirrel Entertainment's purview. We are on our fifth episode aired as the day we're recording this, our fifth episode just aired. It's not all comedy, but there is some comedy in there. Yeah. There's some funny stuff. Me and Sophia did a funny segment for this episode, so definitely tune into that. Other than that, I don't think I got anything else.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to In the Bag, a Grab Bag behind the scenes podcast, and I will talk to you next episode. Bye. Bye-bye.